You're invited to Australia's only fitness and recreation industry technology summit in Sydney on July the 21st and 22nd. Now, this is an amazing summit that will have 4 keynote presentations, 3 TED Talk style presentations, a couple of panels, and 2 workshops. Plus, there's a gala dinner with the first ever industry awards for technology and another keynote from the inspiring Amanda Stevens. That keynote called High Tech, High Touch. Now, you can register at fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. And this event would not be possible without the amazing support of our sponsors. And today, I'm really excited to welcome back to the shores of Australia, Emmett from MyZone. G'day, Emmett. How are you?
I'm good, JT. How are you, mate?
Mate, I am terrific. Now, because you haven't been around in Australia for nearly 10 years, let me introduce Australia to you, sir. Emmett has the rare experience of working extensively throughout the fitness industry in multiple regions across the world. And as I said, he returned to Australia after spending 9 years in the US. That is almost longer than what some people go to jail for, but we won't mention how long you were in the US again. Having built and owned gyms on one side of the ledger to having owned and grown the international sales and marketing company CFM on the other side of the ledger, Emmett now allocates most of his time as a partner to the wearable technology MyZone. And they are great supporters of the Tech Summit, and we're very grateful for your time today, Emmett. And I would like to say thank you to you personally, because over the last 15 months, I haven't had to work out as much to keep my MEPS.
Hey,
so I gained
we're
my
looking
status.
after you, JT.
I love the status. I love the gamification of MyZone. I gained my status, and with a couple of flare-ups, couple of injuries, it's meant I haven't been able to do my cardio over the last few months, but you've held the status for everybody across the world, because obviously some countries, some states even have not reopened. So thank you. I'm grateful. I'm still a Hall of Famer.
Mate, no worries. But guess what? When we went into the first lockdown, we decided to put a pause on all status ranking. And for the people on the call that don't know what we're talking about, it's a point system that we've got with MyZone. And if you consecutively join months together, you earn bronze, silver, gold, so on and so forth with your status ranking. And if you don't hit your numbers for a given month, you fall back. And what we did was we put a hold on that because gyms were locked down. But what is interesting, JT, is that going into COVID, about 50% of the MyZone users would exceed the hurdle required to gain progress with status, and 50% would not. And for those MyZone users out there, you know that it's 1,300 MEPS per month. For the non-MyZone users, what that really equates to is 150 minutes of moderate activity or 75 minutes of vigorous activity on a weekly basis. So about half the population hit it and half the population didn't hit it. And when I say population, I mean the MyZone user community. However, when we hit the COVID lockdown, let's call it the month of April 2020, what we saw change was this. We had about 60% of our workouts being done inside a gym and 40% of our workouts being done outside a gym. That was the first thing. In April, it went to 1% inside the gym, 99% outside the gym, right? But then it recovered, and what it's recovered to, and this is where it's found almost an even watermark, 60% of the workouts are now done outside a gym and 40% of the workouts are done inside the gym. And that's where it's found a stable level. So, you know, the members are working out, they're just working out outdoors. And it looks like there might be a little bit of a consumer shift. They've got used to running outdoors or doing bike riding for their cardio. And so they're opting in to that. But what we found was that about 50% weren't hitting the number, and during COVID, 60% are hitting the number and earning status, and 40% are not. So even though we gave them a free pass throughout lockdown, we found that more of our members were actually achieving their points, which is interesting.
You must be one of the few companies in our industry that can actually track that sort of data and know where members are working out and where members are not working out. Would you be the only ones?
Yeah, because the way we upload data to the cloud, we have a receiver inside a club, and we know if the workout is being done inside a club and if that data has been uploaded to the cloud through the in-club receiver versus being done outside a club and uploading through the smartphone. And because of that, we can see where it's coming from, and then we can tag the workouts, which is why we can see this behavior change.
Hey, now you just mentioned the phone, and there's a complete aside. It's probably I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. iOS 14, no impact on MyZone for people using phones?
No impact.
You are a lucky man, because there's plenty where it has impacted. So basically what you're telling me is that pre-COVID, this is how people worked out, and then they switched to this type of workouts.
Mm-hmm.
No pun intended. Ladies and gentlemen, what has MyZone been up to over the last 12 months? Has MyZone switched to anything new, Emmett?
Well, yes, JT, thanks for the tee up. We have switched to a new product, a new device called MZ Switch. But before I go down that path, let me suggest to you that over the last 12 months, all of our strategies, not just MyZone, but all of our strategies went from this hardened business strategy that we just have to rinse and repeat month in, month out, to an agile strategy of calling audibles and making changes every day, every week, every month. And we certainly went through that as well. And so the first thing that we did from an innovation perspective was introduce MZ Remote. Now, MZ Remote is class content pumped through the MyZone app. And look, the club do have to agree to it. But what we did through COVID was we said, look, if as a club operator, you want us to pump content into the app, we can absolutely do that. We had live content from our master trainers every single day, 5-6 workouts a day. And that was a scenario where the trainer was providing content on one side of the screen, and on the other side of the screen were the MyZone tiles. So the member could be working out in their lounge room, and the coach could see them, could prescribe the workout, could see where their heart rate was. So if they were on the ground doing mountain climbers, but because they were in the lounge room, they thought they'd do mountain climbers at an easier pace than what they used to do at the gym, now the coach could call them out and say, JT, get up into the yellow zone. We're doing mountain climbers. Let's hit that yellow zone and keep them accountable to the effort that they're putting in. So what we tried to do was take the experience of inside the gym to inside the lounge room, particularly during lockdown. And since then, we've extended that innovation by adding MZ Remote Plus, and this is where we're getting pre-recorded content, pumping it into the MyZone app, and your members, if as an operator you agree to it, your members can experience content on the hour, every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Can I load my own pre-recorded into that, or is it all MyZone super trainers?
It's no, you can't is the answer. But the reason we strategically decided to do that is because we wanted to provide something that was good enough for the problem that needed to be solved. And a lot of operators are out there saying, look, can you provide us with something that's affordable that we can deliver to our members just to prop them up when they can't get into the gym, for two reasons. One, there might be another lockdown, touch wood, if a variant or a mutation isn't covered by the vaccine. But two, consumer trends have changed. They've now worked out, pardon the pun, that they can work out inside the gym. Now they can work out at home. Now they're a runner all of a sudden. They didn't know they were a runner, right? And so they've got this variety. And if they're time poor and they don't have the time in their calendar to get down to the gym, they've now got a higher propensity to say, you know what, I'll just do a workout myself at home. I'll get home, I won't go past the gym, I'll have half an hour and I'll log onto the MyZone app and get a body weight boot camp done, for example. But most operators, well, let me say this, some operators are saying, hey, hybridization is the way forward and we need to create our own content, and that's fine. But a lot of operators are saying content's not our thing. We need to have something there to check the box and say we've got you when you don't have time to get down to the gym, but we don't want to be putting a lot of resources or money into it. And so that's why the MZ Remote Plus upgrade is a very affordable one for MyZone operators who are already paying for their license.
And are clubs putting that behind a paywall, so they're increasing their yield from their customers offering that service, or is that they're just including that in membership, or including that, hey, when you buy the belt, you also get this?
Yeah, there's two ways of doing it. One is just baking it in as a value add, right? And it's part of the membership. And the other one is premium membership, right? If you're a premium member paying us a higher yield, then you get access to the MyZone or MZ Remote content.
Is there any predisposition from the industry on which way they're going with both of those?
At this stage, it's still early days. You know, we've only just had England reopen not that long ago. Out here in Australia and New Zealand, there seem to have, these regions opened up earlier than the rest of the world, and there has seemed to be a snapback to brick and mortar. And America is going through an interesting stage at the moment. So it's too early to tell, but we feel as if once we get through to the second half of the year, operators will have put their strategies in place, and we'll see if virtual is a part of their strategy or is not a part of their strategy. And if it is a part of their strategy, is it their own content? Is it third-party content? Are they charging for it? Is it a value add? And we've got so many different models in this industry, JT, as you well know. It really has stratified. It really does depend on what you're trying to achieve.
So you historically at MyZone launched something big in March, whether that's, and usually that's at Ursa or here in Australia at Filex. Was MZ Remote and MZ Remote Plus the thing you were going to launch?
Yes. Look, as you know, JT, we have big breakfasts. Our last breakfast at Ursa had 600 attendees for bacon and eggs, and we have 45 minutes and we share news with our customers. And yeah, MZ Remote was absolutely going to be the announcement, but also MZ Switch. That was coming one way or the other. But when COVID happened, MZ Remote got accelerated because it was part of our agile strategy of saying, hey, let us help you deal with the current reality. Once we got through that and took a deep breath, we went back to our prior strategy of, okay, what does the roadmap look like? And MZ Switch, which we announced about 5 or 6 weeks ago now, there we go, good one, JT. That's the device right there, looking good.
And I can wear it on my there. Is that where I wear it?
Yep. Okay. So so let me frame it up this way. You can wear it in 3 different locations. The first one is on the wrist where you've got it at the moment.
Just like a watch? Just
like a watch, right, around the wrist. The other location you can wear it with another strap that came with it in the box is just above the elbow, about 1 inch above the elbow. That's right. And the other location, of course, is the original location, which is around the chest. So if you could just stand up and take the top off, JT.
No. And that just pops out, doesn't it?
It does. It does. The module, the black module, which is the brains of the unit, will pop out from the wrist, then you put it on the arm, and then you would choose to put it on the chest. Now, the $64 million question is, where should you wear it? And the answer is, it depends on what you're doing. So let me back you up a little bit and explain to you that the reason we developed MZ Switch was to solve for 2 key problems. And we've known about these problems.
Got you back.
I'm back. Not sure what happened. Very good. So there were 2 problems that we've known about. And for the operators who have had MyZone and have given us this feedback, this will ring a bell. The first issue, or I guess, let me reframe it. The number one objection to MyZone from prospective MyZone users at the gym, right? So members that don't have a MyZone belt, but have been pitched one or they're considering one. The biggest objection is, I don't think the chest strap will be comfortable, right? And then we'd have the talking point saying, well, look, you might not think that the chest strap is comfortable, but when you put a pair of sunglasses on or a cap or a pair of shoes, you know, the first time you did that, you might not think it would be comfortable, but they become comfortable after a while, and the chest strap is no different. And as a MyZone user, JT, you know that most people don't even know that they're wearing the chest strap. Okay, so it was a perception rather than a reality. I won't say that everyone found the chest strap comfortable. There was a small percentage of our users that did say, yes, it rubs the wrong way or whatever, but it wasn't a wholesale issue. However, marketing is dealing with perception, so we needed to deal with that. A lot of operators said to us, look, will you please develop a wrist device? And for years we turned around and said, look, we're not going to develop a wrist device because the wrist is not an accurate measure of heart rate, particularly when you're doing gripping activities. So you're moving your wrist around, i.e. holding a kettlebell or dumbbells or whatever it may be. Or if you're doing something that's non-rhythmical, think of boot camp where you're going from star jumps to burpees to push-ups to plyos to you name it. It's not very good at estimating heart rate, because that's what it is. It's an estimation. It's picking up the pulse through your wrist, and through an algorithm, it's estimating what your heart is doing. So that's why we didn't go down that path. We thought that if the data coming out of MyZone was inaccurate, then it would become irrelevant, and things that are irrelevant are disengaging, and we're in the business of member engagement. So that wouldn't work. However, the feedback persisted. And so what we did was we conceptualized MZ Switch, where we sort of sailed it through the heads or threaded the needle and got the best of both worlds. So now with Switch, if you were doing functional training, gripping activities, non-rhythmical, chest is best and always will be. The wrist will never be better. However, the number one request we had for MyZone over the years was to develop a device that was accurate when swimming. You see, the problem with the chest device is that when you push off the wall, it drags down off your torso and it pulls the sensors back. Yeah, and so the drag effect creates gaps in the workout. Whereas when you put the MyZone device on your wrist, it's very accurate, right? So if you're swimming, choose the wrist. If you're doing anything in between, if you're doing cardio at the gym, for example, and you don't want to lift your top up, that was another issue. Some people didn't feel comfortable on the gym floor lifting their top up and adjusting their strap. Now what you can do is you can put it on your arm and lift it up to your elbow, 1 inch above the elbow, and you're off to the races with an accurate device. Why? Because this is closer to the heart and is more accurate than the wrist.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So again, it really does come down to what you're doing. Now, we've had feedback on social media from our users that they're like, what we love about it is that we get to earn more MEPs. And we ask the question, what do you mean you get to earn more MEPs? And they're like, well, now when I wash the car, it's just easy to throw it on my wrist. And I start washing the car, I get 30 minutes worth of exercise because it is exercise.
So you're now including incidental exercise into your MEPs.
Yes, although washing the car and cleaning up the backyard and whatnot is actually more than incidental, because you see the workouts come back and they're in the blue zone and sometimes in the green zone because they're vigorously, raking up the lawn and throwing, throwing sticks into bags and whatever they're doing. It is actually cardio, and now they get to include it. And so, there's been a lot of positive feedback about that.
Now, look, I got mine in the mail, and I'm going to ask you very shortly about some of the big players in the industry. And I don't know whether this is a compliment or an insult to you, but I love the packaging. It's very Apple-esque. It's really, it is one of the most beautiful packaging things that I've seen. And I do compare it to Apple in how good it looks. How much time and effort do you go into the packaging to make sure that it's again a perception of value of your product.
Yeah, look, packaging is key, just like it is for a gym, right? The packaging is the fascia and the lobby or the foyer and the look and feel and whatnot. That's all part of the packaging. You're still doing push-ups and burpees, but it's the way you package it with the programming and whatnot. And I know what you mean by Apple-esque. Of course, we have not copied Apple, JT, but I think the color white is a very Apple color, which is why we do get that feedback. And you're right, we put effort into making sure that we packaged it the right way, because at the end of the day, the operators are buying the device and they're selling it to the member, not as a substitute to working out at the gym, but as an accessory to be another instrument in the orchestra that is working in concert to help them start and then sustain an exercise routine. And by putting it in nice packaging, it builds credibility. They take it serious. It feels like a nice consumer purchase. And then they get excited and interested. They download the app, they connect. And at that point, they then start experiencing what it feels like to earn MEPs, to earn status, to have likes on the social media feed, to be in challenges. And that then takes over. But before you experience that, you need to have something that teases you into the experience, and good packaging does that from a consumer purchasing perspective.
I didn't even think of the white. I just thought of just the way it was made. I thought it was beautiful. I keep the box.
Yeah, I know
That's
what
how
you mean.
dorky I am. Hey,
Yeah.
actually, and another question without notice, how old can you be to use MyZone?
Kids can use it. They just need a guardian. Under 13, they just need a guardian to sign off when they're registering the device itself. But I'm glad you brought it up, JT, because there is a huge opportunity in kids exercise and kids fitness for us to approach. And again, yeah, kids lifting up tops to put on chest belts, it just didn't fit. But this is the type of device that schools have been asking for. Wow. And is something that, we're excited about. Absolutely.
All right. Well, I haven't registered this yet because I still like my belt. I still love taking off my top in the gym, in the middle of the gym, shirt off, belt on.
Yep.
Very rarely.
Six pack out. That's right.
But I could set that up for Zoe, who's 12, and I sign off on it for her.
Yep, absolutely.
Done. That's great.
And kids love it. Particularly, when kids are in the primary colors of MyZone, kids love. It makes sense. You don't have to explain a lot. The hotter the color, the more effort you're putting in.
And it's important I get her onto this, because this brings me to my next question. Some big players are dipping their water in the whole wearable world. Apple, Amazon, Google with Fitbit, and Zoe's got a Fitbit. Not anymore. She's going to have a Switch. There's probably others that we don't even know about that are doing work behind the scenes. What's it like for a little Aussie company going up against these guys? Sorry,
I know
these guys going up against the big guys.
Yeah. Okay. And look, if you take those companies you mentioned, Apple, Google, who have just purchased Fitbit, albeit they had some issues purchasing Fitbit with all the anti-competitive pushback that they got. And also Amazon have bought out a device called Halo, which goes on your wrist, and it's a fitness tracker, but it also listens to you all day and picks up on your tone, and through the smartphone app will report back to you if you've been sarcastic, if you've been enthusiastic, if you've been sad. Like, it will give you a pie graph of your emotions throughout the day. Yep.
Right.
And if you add up the market cap of those three companies, Apple, Google, and Amazon, it's equal to the GDP of Japan, which is the third biggest economy in the world.
Holy shit. Oops,
right. So that's right. Now, so that's what we're dealing with. And you ask yourselves the question, why are they doing it? And take Apple, for example. They've not only got the Apple Watch, but they've come out with Apple Fitness Plus, right? They saw what Peloton was doing, and they're like, you know what? That's working for them. We've got great distribution. We'll create high quality content, and we'll charge a low price for it. It's only $9.95 in US dollars per month, or $15.95 in $14.95 a month in Australian dollars. So it's very affordable, which is very un-Apple-like. Apple are a premium product. why are they doing it? Well, what they're doing is they're trying to create bundles or rundles, as they're being referred to. A rundle is a recurring revenue bundle where you can turn around to Apple and say, I'll pay you for iCloud, I'll pay you for Apple Music, Apple TV, yeah, give me a bit of that fitness, and it'll all bundle up into one payment. And then when you stop listening to the music, for example, I won't cancel it, it's all part of the bundle. Or if you stop with fitness, for example, well, I'll get back to it, but of course I'm using the cloud and I'm still using music, and so on and so forth. So Apple have a bigger play. Further, recurring revenue, particularly when it's bundled up with other things, has great retention attached to it and has great multiples for the company in terms of valuation. But one thing I'll say about Google is that really what they're looking for is they're looking for the data, because what they want to be able to do is they want to be able to marry up data points together and essentially use it for predictive analytics. And without getting too geeky here, they want to do massive regression analysis so that they can say, we can look around corners, we know what your next move is, and by knowing that next move, they can send the right message to the right person at the right time. And it was the anti-competitive groups in Europe, America, and Australia, ACCC here in Australia, that turned around and said, okay, Google, if you're going to buy Fitbit, you cannot use that Fitbit data in order to sell more advertising, because that's what you want to do. It's pretty clear you want to do that, but we're going to stop you from doing that, because Google would then know more about you than you know about you, right? And that's privacy, and privacy is essentially freedom. If they know your next move before you know your next move, how creepy does it get? So anyway, putting that to the side, yeah, the big players coming to town excite me more than concern me. And the reason is that I'm glad that fitness tracking and wearables and habit formation are becoming mainstream. I'm glad that Apple added heart rate to the watch, because now it's a household name, right? But our strategy is differentiated from the big boys. The big boys are playing a master strategy of Apple Watch saying, we are the #1 fitness tracking watch in the world. That's great. But at MyZone, we have a focus strategy for people that go to gyms and for gym operators that have got members. And Apple are not going to put a TV up on the wall with colors and numbers and giving feedback, right? They're just not going to do that. We're integrating with the club. Apple are not going to have account managers that walk your fitness staff, your sales staff, your personal trainers, your instructors, your managers through best practices as to how to apply heart rate inside a gym during a workout. Apple and Google don't have a B2B back end that will enable you, the operator, to go in and create challenges and then look at the data that you've got access to. Rather, Apple and Fitbit and the like will keep the data themselves and won't give you a B2B run at it. And so we can differentiate by partnering with gyms, and MyZone plus gym is 2 + 2 = 5 when it comes to the gym member themselves. And that's something that the big boys just can't compete with. So we're quite comfortable staying in our lane.
And not to mention Jeff Bezos and Tim Cook et al.
Yep.
They haven't run gyms like you and Dave have.
Yeah, that's right. There's domain expertise. That's exactly right. Yep, and their capital is different. They're going for a much bigger, badder play. As I said, Apple Fitness Plus is really there for other reasons down the track. But we are there for that operator who's got 4 walls and X amount of members and a certain issue with retention, with an incentive to upsell as many members as possible to personal training and small group training and large group training. We have clear plays for that help the operator achieve that.
Now, how many clubs have got MyZone across the world?
7,500.
So we've got you on a panel as well at the Tech Summit, where I'm going to ask you some questions about what you've seen in change of, I guess, behavior, similar to that 60-40 and then 40-60 split on the panel. With 7,500 clubs on your books or clients of yours, can you give me one other piece of data that you might share on that panel about a change of consumer behaviour?
Oh, the big one is the fact that the members haven't fully returned to their pre-COVID pattern of 60% workouts inside the gym and 40% workouts outside the gym. As we stand in May of 2021, it's now the opposite of that. 60% outside the gym, 40% inside the gym. That's the big insight. And I think that the lesson that we need to take from that is that if we want to meet our members where they are, and if they've now got a higher propensity to work out at home and outside the gym, then we need to not be intimidated by that. We need to not think that those workouts are a substitute for what we've got inside the gym. Rather, it's a supplement to what's inside the gym. And what it reminds me of, JT, is at-home gym equipment. Remember back in the analog days of at-home gym workout gear versus the gym, everyone thought that the at-home workout gear was competitive to selling a gym membership. And what they actually found was that people that had gym equipment at home were retained much longer and much stronger at the gym than those that did not have equipment at home. And you ask yourself the question, well, why is that? Surely it's a substitute. And no, it's not. It's a supplement. And we know that retention comes down to visitation and sustaining frequency in a behavior. But a visitation doesn't have to be to the gym. You can visit exercise, i.e. do a workout at home, and that counts as another workout, and that's important to keeping that habit rolling, which is important to having retention sustained. So I wouldn't look at-home workouts or digital fitness as a competitor. I would look at them as the air cover to help keep your members engaged in exercise, because if they do, look, they're not going to want to stay at home, on the lounge room floor doing burpees and push-ups and whatnot forever. Even people with a Peloton bike still need to complement that with going down to the gym. It truly is synergistic, and I'd like to think that digital, and this is what I'm hearing from a lot of the digital companies, digital is overcoming physique anxiety and athletic anxiety, i.e. I'm not yet in shape enough to go down to the gym, or I don't know how to use the equipment down at the gym. It's overcoming those obstacles, letting people get used to it at home. And when they realize that I can do a mountain climber, and I now know what a burpee is, I'd heard of them, but never knew how to do one. And I've just lost a couple of kilograms or a couple of pounds. You know what? I now feel as if I can progress from my lounge room floor, and I can go down to the local gym and I won't feel so silly.
So by the time we get together in another 2 months, I guess Australia will have, except for Victoria, will pretty much have been open close on 12 months. Can you see if you can dig out that data on where people are working out in Australia by the end of July?
Yes. Well, let me think about this. It would be good to break it out by state and have a look. Yeah, and also what would be interesting is to look at the data from a metropolitan versus non-metropolitan perspective as well.
I'm picturing it. Yes. I'm picturing an infographic coming from MyZone out for Australian clients.
So am I. Let me send an email on that. Yes. Okay, JT, I will commit to that. That would be very interesting.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a reason to come to the summit, because you're going to hear some real-time data. Mate, this has been a great chat. I'm really grateful for your time this afternoon. I know how busy you are. I also know that it's getting close to midnight in the US, and you probably got up at 4 o'clock Queensland time to be able to do what you needed to do in the US. So I really appreciate your time. It's been great chatting, and really looking forward to hearing you, seeing you at the Tech Summit. Mate, is there any MyZone's going to have a little booth there, I'm sure, and the MyZone team will be there. What can we expect at the booth?
What we will be sharing with you at the booth is not only the new products, but we'll be taking you through the best practices of operators and how they've addressed this hybridization of post-COVID, post-lockdown. Because let's face it, there's been consumer changes on one hand, like I said earlier, but we're also going to bed at night with one eye open, just keeping our eyes on that variant and those mutations. And what happens if it happens again? What happens if this vaccine doesn't address the next mutation and we have to lock down again? Will we react the same way, or will there be a different strategy? And what we want to do at the Tech Summit is talk about how the MyZone tech is being incorporated around the world by different operators.
That sounds like a bloody good reason to come to the Tech Summit. Mate, thank you so much. Thanks to MyZone also for supporting the Tech Summit so generously. We really appreciate all of your support. So, ladies and gentlemen, head now to fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au to register for this event. This is the only event that focuses on improving your business efficiencies, logistics, communication, community, and heart rate monitoring through technology. No matter the size or the type of your fitness business, you're going to benefit from being at this event. So we'll see you on July the 21st and 22nd, fitnessindustrytechsummit.com.au. See you in July, Emmett.